So as I just read out, and there was 9 lots of detail there, and you've probably forgotten a little bit of what I said about Dave, but effectively, you started out just over 4 years ago with no list,
Yep, yes.
no business. You've never owned your own business, although you'd obviously worked very actively in lots of businesses, but you never owned your own business.
No, I didn't.
And you'd never done any formal coaching, although you had done some sales teaching.
Yeah, some sales training, some mentoring, but no, nothing within the coaching sphere. No.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, Dave might be like some of you that are in the room now, but it came with less tools than a lot of people that are in this room that might have either had a list or had some coaching experience or whatever. But you took the raw bits of the training and you just implemented it, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, I did. And being quite frank, I shit myself. I sat there with a blank piece of paper. I'd worked corporately. I was earning a 6-figure salary. I was doing well. I hated what I did. It was making me miserable. I got put on furlough, and I thought, I came across a video from Nigel on the EC. I looked at Action Coach, couldn't afford that, but found it quite prehistoric. And I just signed up, and I'll never forget, I sat there with a blank piece of paper, and I just thought, what am I going to do now? And some words rang in my head, something that Nigel had said, is go and tell everybody and anybody what you're doing. And genuinely, I picked up my first client at my son's cricket match. She ran a beauty salon, and I got chatting to her. And because of my sales background and my thick skin, I just said, I think I can help you. I didn't even know I could help her. And she became my first client. And from then, some of the words today, I was relentless. I was persistent, I was relentless, I begged, I stealed, I borrowed, I got to 5, I got to 6, I got to 7. I then wasn't afraid to ask people for testimonials and ask them how I've helped them. I got people to read me testimonials in BNI, I got people to do me videos. You know, I really worked hard at it. And it was interesting, about 18 months ago, I hadn't really been listening to my own business, and I sat in my office and I asked the business, as you put it, the right questions, and what I heard was, I can't get to where I want to be by just doing what I was doing. I just couldn't. I had 18 or 19 one-to-one clients, ranging from £400 to £600 a month. I was getting slightly overwhelmed, I found. I wasn't enjoying it. I had a chat with Liz, and at that moment I had to listen to what the business was telling me, and it was, you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to think about what you do. And I started thinking, and I got in touch with Jackie, and we worked on things together, and I created a group coaching program which potentially could change my life. It will change my business over the next 2 years. From that, I've created accountability programs, I've created a business growth club, all from that one idea. But to go back, I know how some of you are feeling sitting in the room, because I sat there with a blank piece of paper. And at that moment, you had to go out, I had to go out, and I had to work hard, and I had to be persistent, and I had to be relentless, is the word I used. And I didn't give up, because I knew what I wanted. But yeah, 18 months ago, I had to change things.
And you took on board the fact that you had to have conversations with people, and you weren't afraid to have conversations because you came from a sales background, didn't you?
I did.
But you didn't really have a niche. So all of those people that have those conversations with me that think, oh, we don't really have a natural niche, you didn't have a niche, and you built your business even though you haven't had that niche. You have niched at different times. You've run your BGAP for tradespeople, or you've run BGAPs for specific niches that has then appealed to them because they've understood what you were delivering. And you also mentioned just then that you now do a growth club.
Yeah.
Do you want to just expand a little bit
Yes,
about what that growth club is?
It was really
what
interesting
looks like?
that sometimes when you don't do the proper thinking, things are in front of your nose. And it was the last session on my penultimate program. There was 10 people in the room, and I said, has anyone got any questions? And this very brash Polish guy who runs an asbestos business stood up and said, I don't get why you're stopping this here, why you're not carrying this on. And I said, expand that, what do you mean? And he said, well, why do we have to stop here? You've done 7 sessions, this is really valuable for all business owners, why don't you create a club? And I went, that's a really good idea. And then I asked people in the room, if they would sign up, and they said yes. And that night I created a club. And within 2 weeks I had 10 people signed up. I've now got 30 people signed up paying £99. And I run a coaching meeting and a growth community. And I've got plans to scale that to, well, 100 people is where I'd like to get to start with. But that came from somebody else. I listened. He said, we don't want to stop this. Can you create something? And it wasn't perfect, and it's still not perfect. And I speak to Jackie because I've got no printouts of people's names. I've got no brochure for it. On the marketing side, I could probably brush up a bit. Jackie's always laughing at me or that. But I just did it, and I'll write about it later. And you know, that's something that I think everyone could do quite easily.
So you've 30 people in your club at the moment, looking to grow it to 100, and that takes how much of your time on a monthly basis?
Probably about an hour and a half a month, 2 hours. I do one meeting a month. I started a WhatsApp group, and I've done something that I didn't think I would do. I've done a little bit like Nigel's Clinics. I've done Ask the Coach, but I don't do it on Zoom. I do it in my time when I want to do it, whether I'm fishing, walking, at home, and I block out an hour and a half every week, and people can come and ask me questions, and that creates another funnel because people ask me big questions and I say I can help, but I can't help you in 10 minutes. So the key from this thinking, this one idea that me and Jackie got our heads together, has created so many funnels. Because I'm going to be honest, I think it's harder to sign one-to-one clients up now than it was 3 years ago. I found it quite easy 3 years ago. I think it's harder now. I think AI plays a part. I think subscription models plays a part. I think people are watching their pennies. So what we've been able to create is funnels. Funnels from the group. If you get 10 to 12 people in a group program over 7 weeks, they get to know, like, and trust you. They get to see what you can help with. And from that, and from the club, and from these, it's just creating. I don't have to create any funnels for one-to-one clients now. They literally come to me and I decide if I want to work with them. And I've trimmed it down to an hour a month. So from that one idea, from that one bit of thinking and that painful couple of hours where the business said, you ain't going to get to where you want to be. It is impossible unless you can create more hours. Unless you want to work 40 hours a week. And I don't. I want to work 3 days a week. That's my goal.
I was just going to say, your terms are quite specific.
3 to 3.5 days a week. I'm probably about 3.5 to 4 at the moment. I know the revenue goal I need to reach. I know exactly how to get there now. I've got 3 or 4 different funnels, and one-to-one doesn't play a part. The VGAP Club, the group coaching, plays a huge part because what I'm finding is the one-to-one clients are then starting to come to me.
And one of the other things that you've been very good at doing, and I think you sat in this room 12 months ago, I think, and mentioned it, is that you have embraced the EC membership and you have embraced the Genie AI and the affiliation.
100%.
And because of that's another income stream that comes into your business.
Yeah, it's fair to say I'm a bit of a dinosaur with technology and marketing. I'm not the greatest. I'm learning off Jackie a bit, but I've dragged myself kicking and screaming to use Genie. Don't ask me about the really complicated stuff, but what it does do, it helps you build a list, it helps you think about how you build your own list, it helps you get people into a system. And I found it quite easy to sell it, if I'm brutally honest. I'm a salesperson, but I just ask people if they've got a CRM. And when they say no, I say why. And then some people say, what is a CRM? And I explain it. And I say, if you haven't got one, and you're going to need one in the next 12 months, because that's where it's moving. And it's helped me in my business as well. Build my list, and you don't have to be a technical genius to have Genie AI for CRM. So.
And that obviously is a residual income that you're getting almost in your sleep, because once Genie's embedded into their business, probably you're not going to have a big churn once they're using it on a day-to-day basis, and therefore it's just nicely gathering.
It is, and I'm not afraid to say I want to work the least hours possible for the money I need. And the EMS and becoming a licensed coach genuinely changed my life, but I had to change it because I do still coach the EMS and one-to-one, but I knew I needed to do something different. If I wanted to work 3.5 days a week and pay myself what I want to pay myself and bring the revenue in, it didn't take a rocket scientist to work out I could not get to where I needed to get to unless I doubled or tripled every client. So I started charging 1,500 instead of 500. It's not realistic in this market. That's what Action Coach do. They don't get any clients. So yeah, there's still a long way to go. I still make lots of mistakes, and I will. But the one thing I've taken, the biggest thing I've taken from the EC and being a licensed coach is don't give up. Be absolutely clearly focused on what you want and why you want it, your life plan, and start with the end in mind. And once you start to do that, it's amazing the ideas you can think of and what you can do moving forward. And genuinely, I wake up and love what I do every day. I will make mistakes, you'll go backwards to go forwards. It will happen, right? But genuinely love what I do.
Excellent. Thank you very much and congratulations.